You found a place to belong here in the circle of friends. I'm Missy and I'm with Libby and Ellie today. Welcome back, Ellie, and
Hi.
welcome, Libby.
Hello, and it is so good, Ellie, to have you back again today. Listeners, if you weren't with us yesterday, this is our friend Ellie Zumba, and she is a graduate of Garaway High School and
Yep.
then Malone University, and is currently acting in the Blue Gate musical. And wow, Ellie, it was such a joy having you with us yesterday, just kind of updating us on what's happening in your life, a little bit about where you've been, but not very much. And
Yeah.
this is one thing Missy and I know. Everybody has a story, and it's always a God story, whether people know it or not. And that's one of the beautiful things about recognizing the Lord is the reality of who He is in our lives every day, whether we recognize it or not. And when we do, it's bam, that is so, so awesome. So we just are curious about your story, just having you share parts of it and getting to know you better. And I think oftentimes when we share our stories, we even get to know ourselves better because we're saying it again out loud, and God is showing us something new, perhaps. And I encourage people to do that, is just share it out loud. It's like reading scripture, which is living and active. Our stories can be the same way because God is always at work revealing himself and wanting us to see him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Ellie, tell us some of your story.
Yeah, for sure. So, I grew up in a very God-loving family. They went to church every Sunday, and I had a great relationship with my pastor. And I always knew church was important because people told me it was important. I was just like, oh, this is something we do on Sundays. This is what my family does. It wasn't until my junior year of high school, that was the time when I was like, you know what, I'm going to follow Jesus because I want to, not necessarily because people told me to, but it was a long road getting there. So at the time, I had just started discovering my love for music and theater, and my teacher, who taught music at the time, he was my favorite person in the whole world. I spent more time with him than I did with my parents because of extracurricular activities. But halfway through my junior year, we discovered that this man wasn't the person we thought he was, and he ended up getting in trouble for certain things, and that whole experience kind of spiraled my idea of authority and of what I thought. I don't know why, but I got very angry at God during that time. I got very why would you do this to all these people? This was a man I trusted, and now I don't trust anyone anymore. How is this world even good at all? And I was very much just very distant from God. I didn't really want, honestly, anything to do with him. I kind of, I would pray and I would go to church, but I was just very angry. And I was still in the youth group at the time because I was a junior in high school. And every couple months we would have a youth Sunday, which would be when the youth would lead the service. And I was usually asked to sing, which is perfectly fine. But I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go sing, and then I'm going to grab a donut, and then I'm going to leave. Because I was like, I don't really want to be here.
Sounds like a plan for a lot of people. I mean, the donut part.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And so I decided on 2 Casting Crown songs, because I still loved music, and I love Casting Crowns. I think they're a great band, and I think they're great songwriters. So I picked 2 of their songs, and the first one was East to West, and then the second one was Voice of Truth. And Voice of Truth was one song that I could not get. I don't know what it was, but I could never sing it right. And so I was like, well, I can't sing this in front of people. I'm gonna totally embarrass myself. And so I totally put that song aside, and I learned a different one. But something that Sunday morning was you need to sing Voice of Truth. And I was like, no, I don't want to. I'm like, it's not, I can't sing it. I know, it's weird. I don't want to. But something was still telling me, you want to sing this song. And I was like, fine, sing it. And so I go and I give the 2 background tracks to East to West and Voice of Truth. And East to West goes great. Like, I sing it well and people like it. And I go up to sing Voice of Truth, and it's in front of, like, the whole congregation. Like, I come on, like, the song starts, and I start singing in, like, a severely wrong note. Like, it's so wrong. Like, it sounds, like, terrible. And I was like, oh my gosh, stop. So in front of, like, the whole congregation, I, like, stop the song. And I was like, we need to start over because that was terrible. And, like, I'm here to give you guys a good performance, and we're going to start over. And she started over. I didn't come in at the right time. The song is going, no idea where I am. And I was like, stop. Like, I don't want to, like, we're starting over. And so, like, the third time she restarted the song in front of all these people, I don't even come in at all. I just let the song, like, play, and I just stand there, and I just felt so, like, I've never felt so, like, low, like, in that moment. Like, I was like, this was something that I always depended on, and it's not here anymore. Like, I can't do this. And I just remember looking out in the audience, and our pastor was, like, praying, and my sister was, like, crying because she was, like, scared for me. And I just remember, like, thinking, like, I just remember all the failures that, like, have ever been in my life is just going through my head. And this is just, like, just part of me was like, get off that stage. Like, you don't belong there. Like, you don't belong. You don't deserve to do this. Like, look how bad you are. And I know that was, like, the enemy. Like, I know that was Satan, like, almost telling me to give up on my dream. But there was this other voice that was like, just sing it anyway. Just sing the words. Like, don't even worry about the music. Like, it was just like, just sing it. And if you know the words to Voice of Truth, it's just crazy how things align. Because, like, the words to that song is like, you know, like, oh, what I would do to have the faith to have to, like, step out of this boat. And that whole song is about trusting the voice of God and not the voices around you. And so I just sang. Like, I just totally closed my eyes, and, like everyone in the congregation just, like, went away, and I just sang this song, and, like, no background check, just, like, the words. And I think, like, from that moment on, I, like, knew. I was like, God is real, and, like, he has called me to do certain things, no matter what they are, and he has got me no matter what. And that was just such a moving experience for me that, like, that is the moment that I decided to pursue Jesus because of who I am in him, and not because of what people tell me or of what be like, oh, like, you believe in Jesus because that's what we do. It's like, I actually, like, that was the first time I really, really felt him. And I hope everyone, even though, like, it was a really, like, embarrassing moment for me, I wouldn't trade it for the world. Like, I wouldn't go back and be like, oh, I wish I could have just sang it perfect. Like, I needed to be embarrassed in front of people, and I think God knew that too. And, like, I needed it to happen in front of people, and I needed it to be where it was exactly at the time it was. And I just, like, thank God that happened, because I don't think I would be where I am today. I think I probably would have stopped performing if I would have went off that stage that day instead of singing that whole song.
I love that story.
Yeah.
So many
Don't-
levels.
It's really crazy.
I'm sitting here crying a little
I
bit.
know, me too. It's
But,
like, oh,
but the
wow.
whole idea of performing, even if you're not a performer, all of us kind of face that because
Oh, yeah.
there's something in us that thinks we have to be something. You know what I mean?
And we have to do
do
it
something.
right.
We have to do something in order to attain not just other people's love, but often God's love. We think, okay, I'm going to be this good person, and then I'm going to get into heaven. Or if I do this, or even after you have a relationship with Jesus, sometimes we get caught up in the performance, thinking, I have to do that. And
Yeah.
to me, in that whole story, it's just as if God said, it's not about your performance. It's about your obedience. I mean, that whole thing is just beautiful. And what a reminder to all of us that it's not our performance. We don't do anything. It's God who does everything for us.
Yeah, it was just like a reminder that, like, this was never about me. Like, singing these
Yes.
songs, like, yeah, I'm good at it and I love to do it, but, like, bottom line, it's not about me. Like, it's about God and how I can show him through what he has given me. And that was just, and every day I have to be reminded of that. Like, every day I want to get like, oh, like, I did that, but, like, I didn't do that. Like, I did that because God allowed me to.
So,
it's-
so beautiful.
Yeah.
And here's what I'm thinking when you're talking, and Missy, you said this too. Ellie, you could have stepped down. You could have stepped down you could have allowed that embarrassment to cause you to quit. So God has put all of the talent into you, all of the ability into you, but you still have choices to make. And you made right choices there. And whether you were in that moment or not of realizing, hey, I'm obeying God, which I don't think you realized it at the time. But Missy, you brought it up. That's what God wants, is our obedience. But going back to your story, Ellie, you mentioned that was the song that was given to you, that voice that said, you need to do this song. And so you just obeyed. You obeyed regardless of what the outcome was going to be. And now I think back to, if I could have been there in that congregation listening to you, you know what that would have said to me and done for me? That would have made me a part of your testimony.
Yeah, this is the thing, because everything could have gone perfect and you could have sang beautifully. And I believe the congregation would have enjoyed it. Instead, it was a God moment and a visual illustration for the people sitting. And even as you told the story,
Yes,
it became
that's right.
a God moment for us, like listening to it.
Yeah.
So as they sat there and they watched you, and then you sang that song that talks about listening to the voice of God. Now, of course, we've heard the background to that, but it was just such an illustration, not just for you. God was dealing with you, but He's also dealing with the people in the congregation.
That's right.
And it was much more powerful, I'm trying to say. It was much more powerful because of, trying 3 times and stopping and then finally singing it than it would have been if you'd have just stood up there and sang a beautiful song and got down off the stage.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and can you imagine maybe to this day the number of people that are saying, hey, I can do this. I can pick myself up and go on, because I remember when Ellie did that. I remember the power she got from God. I remember the testimony of that time in her life. I can do this too. That is so lovely, and I look forward to hearing more when we come back, but it's time for a break. So we're going to do that. Thanks for joining us here today, and we'll be back soon here in the Circle of Friends.
Grab your car keys and round up your squad. It's the perfect time of year for a one-tank trip. Nestled among the rolling hills of Ohio's Amish country, Village Gift Barn, Country Gatherings, and The Gardens are must-see sister stores that are right next door to each other. We carry one-of-a-kind finds and pride ourselves on delivering good old-fashioned customer care for a wow experience. Customers often call our stores hidden gems. Stop by and find out why. 3 destination stores, 1 convenient location, Village Gift Barn, Country Gatherings, and The Gardens at 4755 State Route 39 in Berlin, Ohio, in the heart of Ohio's Amish country.
Walking in a shadowland of broken dreams and shifting sand. 'Cause I gave my heart away too many times. I didn't plan to meet you there. Your kindness took me by surprise. When grace and mercy showered over me. The voice to feel you breathe. I'm caught up in your love for me. A heavenly embrace that covers me. I am humbled and amazed as I walk along the way. As I walk along the way planned for me. Now I live to praise, I live to praise you. The Father's heart is full of love for me. I live to praise, I live to praise you. The lover of my soul has set me free. I live to praise, I live to praise you. I worship you, my God, my worthy King.
We're back here in the Circle of Friends, and Missy, I know you and I are super excited to just have Ellie
Oh, yeah.
continue sharing. If you're just joining us, this is Ellie Zumba, and it's just indeed a privilege and a delight to have you here, Ellie, as you share pieces and parts of your story. So let's go on. We just heard you talk about a pivotal moment where you really believe that Jesus became real to you. He's always been in your life, always been real. You were raised in a godly home, church every Sunday. I know your family. They're
Yeah.
awesome, awesome family. But it's lovely when we can all know those God moments when God came to me and I
Yeah.
recognized him and I chose him intentionally. Continue on with what you're sharing with us.
Yeah, and so like I got involved in Young Life my senior year, and that's how like I met you, and life was going pretty well, and then I went off to college, and it was my freshman year of college, and life got a little like iffy. It got a little messy because I was like, it was my first year of college. Like, I've never done anything like that. And I was the only one from my school who went to that college, so I didn't know anyone. It was a completely new experience. And so I did feel very lonely. I felt very just kind of, just like I was like floundering. Like, I was just like trying to reach onto things to like, I definitely kind of stepped away from God because I was like, okay, I want to find somewhere I belong. I want to like belong here, and I want to be good at this. And so I definitely stepped back, and after my freshman year ended, I went into a summer that completely changed not only my life, but my family's life as well. So it was the summer of 2016, and a lot of different things happened, but like I felt like I was almost getting just like, I feel like everything that could have gone wrong in my life totally did. So I went through my very first heartbreak. My family kind of went through this turmoil. My father ended up going into emergency open heart surgery.
I remember that.
During this summer. And that totally kind of just threw our whole family dynamic out of whack because he is, I grew up on a small dairy farm, so he's a farmer, and he was the one that would kind of tell us what to do, and he would do all the work, and suddenly he couldn't do that anymore. And that was just crazy to us, of my mom and my two sisters and my uncle. Like, we all like had to like pitch in and do all these things that we haven't really like done before or done in a while. And it was just like my whole life was just like out of whack. And I was doing a show at the time that it was a fun show, but just all these other things happening in my life, I couldn't find any joy in it. And I remember like I was at the last performance of the show, and the boy that I had broken up with was also in the show, and he had a way bigger role than I did, and just seeing him on stage every night was just very, very hard, because I missed him so much at the time, and we weren't on a speaking level yet, so we weren't even really friends, and it just was very, very hard to deal with, and I was just like, God, like, why would you, like, let me go through this, like, every single day? Like, I was already, like, upset about a bunch of different things. But this, like, one time, it was, like, the last performance of the show, and I've never seen this woman before. I don't know how she got into, like, the theater. I think she was a mother of one of the children, like, the small children in the show. And we had just done this circle of, like, oh, like, what has this show done for us? And I remember the boy kind of saying something. I'm sure he didn't mean it in this way, but at the time I took it as like he was saying how like nothing in his life has ever meant more to him than this moment. And I just remember feeling so crushed. Like I was like, I meant nothing. And I'm sure he did not mean it in that way at all.
Right.
But at the moment I was like, oh my God, I meant nothing. And I was so heartbroken. And I remember like I was just trying to hold it together. And when it came to my turn, I was just like, yeah, like it was great to like, be here for like I was like, I love stories, like thanks for letting me be here. It was really like not a good answer. But afterwards, this woman came up to me and was like, she's like, I know you don't know me, but God wants me to tell you something. And I was like, oh my gosh, like what? Like I know. I was like, well, what? Like what do you want to tell me? And she's like, he wants you to know that everything that happened this summer wasn't an accident. She's like, he's going to use all of it for your good, and you just have to trust him. And I remember just like crying because like that morning I had definitely had what I like to call like my Abraham Isaac moment, where I was like, God, like if you don't want me to act anymore, if you don't want me to perform anymore, I won't. I was like, if everything is happening because you are leading me to not perform anymore, like I'll do it. Like it'll be hard, but I'll do it. And that woman coming up to me was just like this affirmation of like, you are called to pursue God, and if that is acting, he will open doors for you to act. If that is performing, he will open doors for you to perform. But if it's not, he'll open doors for not doing those things, and you'll know to go through them. And so that was just in a really amazing moment. And I won't say like it was all like butterflies and shiny things after that. It was still very much a struggle going into my sophomore year. I looked at different majors. I looked at different things. But slowly and surely, my love for performing and storytelling came back. And it came back stronger than it ever has before. And I decided that year to pursue it professionally once I graduated. No matter how hard it would be, no matter like what it looked like, I was like, I was going to try it because I've had the affirmation that God is going to use everything in my life to his good. And I have. And looking back, there are so many of those affirmations, like there are so many, but I just chose to either overlook them because of the circumstances I was in, or I'd be like, this wasn't big enough, which is like terrible, like, to be like, that wasn't what I wanted. God, like I wanted you. And so then finally he brought like a woman, like an actual person to me to tell me these things when all along there has been little affirmations all the way through.
Oh, so beautiful. Okay, a couple of things I want to touch on.
Yeah.
And we'll start with what you just said, the affirmations all along, the little things that maybe you were either denying or rejecting or not paying attention to. Has all of this caused you to be more mindful and attentive to the ways that God works moment by moment, day by day, even in things that don't feel good or comfortable?
Yeah, I think I like to call them God winks. I think God winks at us all the time through very little things. And I know a lot of people, I don't get made fun of, but I know a lot of people kind of take my view as almost like a childish thing. Because I'll be like, there are no coincidences.
Oh, I'm going to stop you right there, and I'm going to say you are childlike. Not childish, you are childlike, and that's exactly how our Heavenly Father wants us. So, God winks. I love it. Keep going, Ellen.
Yeah. And so I will take little things, and I'll be like, this is God telling us that this is right. Or like, this is God like telling us that he loves us, even if like we did bad. And I know like, I think some people don't like that mindset. Some people are they're like, if they can't be explained or like, or like they want an explanation for everything, I guess I should say. And that's just like, I love explanations for things. I think it's cool to get those, but I'm at a time in my life where like some things are never going to be explained. And I think there are way more to coincidences than we think there are. Like I think some things are just meant to happen because there is someone aligning them, for sure.
And I've often thought, wow, if everything could be explained, if I could understand everything, I would have no need for God. It's like
Exactly,
it
yeah.
brings God down on my level. Do I want that? No, never, never. No, I don't care. If I don't understand it, if I can't explain it, to me that's all the better, because that is just causing me to love God more, to lean into Him more, to trust Him more, to know that He's the one that understands it all. He's the one that knows it all. He's the one that can explain it all. And someday, and Scripture's good about telling us this, we will see Him as He is. Right now, we see through a glass darkly, but then it will all come to light. Yeah.
Oh my, I am so enjoying this story. I had no idea. And I love the fact, again, Libby, you said everybody has a story. There's so much in this, Ellie, but you had mentioned something to us earlier, and I really want you to share this with our listeners. Your Abraham Isaac moment. Would you be willing to do that?
To me, an Abraham Isaac moment is when we are willing to sacrifice one of our greatest loves to pursue the will of God. And that can be one of the hardest things we've ever done, and it can be one of the scariest things. I mean, in the Old Testament, like, God called Abraham to give up his son, which Abraham had been praying for many, many years. And while that's really, really scary, I think there is this obedience to God that we have to follow. And today, no, I don't think God is going to call us to give up our children, but I think we have a lot of, like, babies in our life that we are, this is what defines me, or this is who I am. And we have to be willing to set that before Christ and be willing to give it up. And so sometimes I was blessed enough that He gave it back to me, like Abraham. I was blessed enough that He was willing to be like, okay, like, now that I know that you're willing to give it up, it's going to come back, and it's going to come back and stronger. And because of me being willing to give it up, I think that is what makes it stronger. Because I planned for a life without it. Like,
Yes.
So I know what my life would look like without it. So I'm even more grateful for it now. And I think on different levels, I think every Christian goes through that moment of being like, okay, do I follow my heart or do I follow God's heart?
And if they don't, they stay in that baby stage. They never move on into maturity, because that's really what Christ calls us to do.
Yeah, and I think, too, if we don't choose to do that, then we stay in a life of potential idolatry where everything else is our baby, as you had mentioned. Everything else takes precedence over our relationship with the Lord. And Ellie, when you talked about how He gave your Isaac back to you, and it was stronger and better than ever, that is so beautiful. And here's the thing I want to say along with that, and this is for anybody listening. If you lay your Isaac down and He doesn't give that Isaac back, He's got another Isaac for you, and it's going to be better than what you laid down. That's His promise. Well, we are at the end of our time together. Thank you for joining us. Ellie, thank you for being with us. And remember, you've found a place to belong here in the Circle of Friends.
Thanks to generous donations, this program is produced by Circle of Friends Ministries. You can write to us at P.O. Box 345, Berlin, Ohio 44610, or contact us at 330-852-0000. You've found a place to belong.